Hello and welcome. This is RueshTV and I'm bringing you another Frost video for the Mage tree. I had a Frost video in beta a couple months ago, but since I made that video, they've actually made a few more changes, and so I figured I would give you a new updated list based on the pre-patch that is now live in WoW. And so this is my actual character, not a PTR or beta character. Here I have the changes for you, and just ready to go. So for the Legion changes, we no longer have Frost Firebolt. Frost Firebolt is actually replaced with Flurry, which is this icon right here. It's looks like a flurry of snow, obviously. It has a cast time 2.3 seconds, and it looks like that, just a snowy mess going towards the target. So that's one of the changes. Also, along with Flurry, it actually is replacing the Brain Freeze proc as well. So when you get Brain Freeze, it actually gives Flurry an instant cast as well. So you'll be seeing that as well. One other Legion change is that Blizzard no longer channels. It actually is like Rain of Fire. So you cast it and you go and you're able to just continue attacking without having to sit there and wait. So there's update for Blizzard there. Alright, let's see if I can get the Flurry Brain Freeze proc. Whatever, we'll end up seeing it in the rotation, hopefully. So that's basically the changes. Major glyphs, minor glyphs are all gone. I mean, there's really no glyphing area anymore for that. Alright, so there are also some talent tree changes. At least for me, there is a general use or a leveling build and then a rating build. And so this right here is going to be my rating build. I'm still playing with it. It makes the rotation priority list kind of complicated, having so many steps. But your highest damage dealer right now is going to be your Ray of Frost. So you would do that. Basically, you channel for 10 seconds an icy power beam that slows movement by 50%, deals 10,000 frost damage every 8 seconds. And then each ray frost damage, each time that it deals damage, the damage is increased by 20 seconds. So the longer that you actually do it, the higher the damage actually is done. Another one that I actually like personally, and you'll see me talk about this in the leveling build, is the Lonely Winter. It replaces your summon water elemental, and you no longer have a water elemental, but your Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Flurry, and Frozen Orb deal 20% extra damage. So really toss up between these two. Which one to do in a raiding situation where you're going to be stationary for at least 10 seconds. Ray of Frost is going to be your higher output damage, especially if you team it up with your Icy Veins and your Root of Power. So just you can flip between those if you wish. The next one down is going to be your survivability. So you have your Shimmer, your Cauterize, and your Cold Snap. All three of these are good. It really just depends on your playstyle. For the rating one, a lot of people want to go with the Cauterized, where once you get fatal damage, it actually brings you up to 35% of your health, and then you burn off that health over 6 seconds. You also have your burst of speed tied in with your Cauterized. So I talked about that in the video, fire video before, and it kind of upset me that you no longer use burst of speed. Shimmer, something a lot of people say to do because you get 2 blinks. You get 2 charges for this, and it teleports you 20 yards forward. It's unaffected by the global cooldown. So it's really good, but it's not that good. But you'll see it under my leveling spec, which is Shimmer. Another one to actually talk about would be Cold Snap. It gives you 2 charges on your ice block, and then it heals you 3% of your maximum health every 3 seconds, or 1 second. So this is actually really good in PvP stakes or when you're leveling. So it's really toss up. Rating, go to Cauterize. If you want to do the leveling. It's either Shimmer or the Cold Snap. For your tier 3 or your level 45, you also have really just 2 that are worth a damn in this tree, which would be your Rune of Power, which is your stationary, standstill, increased damage while standing in it, and then also you have Incanter's Flow, which just means it builds up 20% increased damage and then diminishes down to 4 damage every 10 seconds. So it just goes up to 20 and goes all the way back down, goes up to 20, goes all the way back down. So it's actually, depends on what you're trying to do. If you're moving a lot, Incanter's Flow is going to be the way to go for you. For the rating one, I want Rune of Power, and for my leveling one, I grab the Incanter's Flow. The next one down, level 60 is actually not really much of an option. You're going to want to get Frozen Touch. It immediately generates 2 charges of Fingers of Frost. So if you watch here, I click it there and I get the 2 charges and I can just fire them off now. That's just a huge DPS increase just to have the instant cast. Splitting Ice, if you're fighting a huge group constantly, like in a dungeon, Splitting Ice would actually be good because it increases the damage of Ice Lance and Icicle, and then it actually jumps off and does 50% of the damage to other things. So they moved it from the glyphs to the actual talents. And then we have Ice Nova, which is really good when you're leveling. You just need that extra clickable to deal damage and freeze them in place, but you lose your Frost Nova in that position. But either way, I think that Frozen Touch is how you should be going with this. For level 75, again, these are situational. Ring of Frost and Ice Ward, they're PvP trinkets, are really PvP talents. If you really want something, Ice Flows is the way to go. It gives you 2 charges and allows you to cast these while moving. So let's say that I'm doing this and then I'm casting Frostbolt while I move and I jump. It's just helpful. I get 3 charges of it, so I can do it a couple more times. Here we go. I'm just moving around shooting this off. It's really nice. And the recharge takes 20 seconds to recharge. It's very helpful, especially in a situation where you need to be more mobile to have in your rotation. And I use that in both the leveling and the rating stuff. The next one down would be Frost Bomb, Unstable Magic, or Arctic Gale. If you are doing a lot of AoE in dungeons, Arctic Gale probably would work, or Frost Bomb would work if you know how Frost Bomb works and understand it. If you're just thinking, give me something where it can just give me, damage as I cast, Unstable Magic is going to be the thing to do. It's passive, and it just gives you 20% chance to explode on impact, dealing 50% of damage, within the area. So, I mean, either way, all 3 of these talents are actually AoE based for heavy fights, but I think Unstable Magic is better in a fight where you're just standing there attacking one boss mob. So I would go with that. Level 100 would be a really toss-up, depends on your playstyle. Comet Storm, this one is really for PvP for a lot of burst damage, and there's a crazy amount of cooldown for that. 30 seconds cooldown. Glacial Spike actually is one that's preferred, and I use it. You conjure a massive ice spike above your head. You merge all of your icicles together, and you deal 46,000 damage plus whatever damage is stored in the icicles. You put it all together and shoot it off, and it gives a crazy amount of damage, and it freezes the target in place for 4 seconds. It's really, I just think it's a fantastic skill to have. And then we have Thermal Void, which is the same from before. Ice Lances against frozen targets extend Icy Veins by 2 seconds. There's no change to that. So if you do enjoy your Icy Veins, it's good for you for that. However, there's no more glyph for the mastery where it turns the haste to mastery. So whenever you use, it changes one of the way or the other. It used to be Icy Veins gave you mastery unless you glyphed for haste, or the other way around. I forget what it is. But All I know is I always was glyph for it, so I got the benefit of what I needed. So now Icy Veins just gives you 30% haste without having to glyph for it. So it's virtually better to go with the Glacial Spike. Yeah. Alright, so now before we get into the rotation and the opening sequence, which is very complicated for Frost, so I'm going to probably stumble through it since I don't have it all memorized yet. So I'm just going to slowly go through there. We're going to talk stat priorities. So here, I'm still in my rating gear from before, so nothing is customized to fit the Legion changes. Since Mastery is now the worst stat for Frost Mages, and I still have a boatload of Mastery, can't really help that right now. But the first and foremost thing that you need as a mage would be intellect. Everything on your gear is going to have intellect. There's really no way around that. The next item is haste. I have 28% haste, which is meh for me, but it is every item should have haste on it, which is not the case for me. The next item on there is going to be the critical strike, up to 36%. I only have 26%. My gear is lacking, like I said. After that is versatility, then mastery. And then if you have any crit above 36%, it's actually going to be wasted, and it's going to be worse than mastery. But in all intents and purposes, mastery is going to be your worst stat, which happens to be my best stats. So once you figure out your gear optimization, that's the way you want to go. So int, haste, crit to 36, verse mastery. So that's how the stats break down. I don't have any numbers other than the crit to 36%. So that's what you should be looking at. Alright, so for the opening sequence in the rotation, you actually have 12 steps. So I'm going to read them out, and I'm also going to show in annotations on actually what they are. I don't have any pots because I don't need them. But for the opening sequence, you are going to start off with a pot. So just think pre-pot. So then from the pre-pot, you're actually going to precast the Frostbolt into the fight. So when they're leading down the countdown, you just precast that Frostbolt. Then you're going to want to cast your Frozen Orb, place down a Rune of Power, and then activate Icy Veins. From there, the next thing you're going to want to do is Ray of Frost. Alright, so I'm just going to get going. Just imagine that I pre-potted. I don't have any pots. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to assume that I did that. So I'm going to Frost, activate, Ray of Frost. Sitting in here, crazy amount of damage as I'm in there. After I'm done with this Ray of Frost, I'm going to want to clear my charges. Clear, and then there's Flurry. Frozen Touch, clear again, and then just go with your normal rotation priority. So it's a little iffy for me. I just, looking at it really for the first time, but that's generally how the opening sequence would go. I was up in the 100Ks. It could be because I have this, piece of shit training dummy behind me that maybe have taken a little bit of damage, but I'm just, after bumbling around, I'm sitting at 89K. No problem. Alright, so I'm going to let some of these cooldowns come back up, and so we're going to look at the single target rotation, if you will. So really what we're going to do is Ray of Frost is available. So once Ray of Frost is available, Rune of Power is also going to be available. So really you're going to take a look and say, hey, is Rune of Power ready with Ray of Frost? Yes, it is. Okay, so we're going to do it. So we're going to Rune of Power, and we're going to Ray of Frost. Is Icy Veins on cooldown? Yes, it is. Move on. Alright, Frozen Orb, is that available? Yes, it is. Go ahead and use it. If you have your artifact weapon, then use your Evan Bolt, no problem. Frozen Touch, is Is it available? Yeah. Do you have all your your ice lances available to use? Go right ahead. Is flurry available for brain freeze? No, it's not. Okay. So is blizzard available? No, I don't have more than one target, so I'm not going to do that. Water jet? Sure, I got that. Glacial spike? It's available. Use it. And so then you just, whatever is available you want to use. Alright, so if Rune of Power is available, I'm just going to toss it down. No big deal, going to use it. My pet's passive, that's unfortunate. So there we go, we get another proc here for the Glacial Spike. Frozen Touch is available, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to clear my things. So that's basically it. One tidbit that I've noticed and I've learned when you're doing flurry, make sure you don't have any Fingers of Frost up and available, because then you're just going to waste any type of procs on that. So possible procs, of course. So that's just general rotation. I mean, I'm not trying for huge numbers, but really you're just thinking, oh, what do I have available? So there we go, Rune of Power. I'm just going to Ray of Frost, and you can just see the damage get increasingly higher and higher as I go. It's about up, so I'm going to Ice Lance, Ice Lance, Ice Lance, Ice Lance, Jet, Flurry, Frostbolt, Ice Lance, things like that. So even with me just pushing buttons and making sure that I'm always casting, I'm looking at 50 some K damage in my not so itemized gear. So it's really much of a, if you understand the rotation, really, it's much more than rotation though. It's just whatever's available, when what not to use in the wrong, right place and wrong time. So there's that. Haste buff, always nice. Water jet, things like that. So just keep an eye out for, essentially what to use, when to use them. So yeah. Also, don't be a clicker. I'm a dirty clicker right now because I'm just showing you the priorities. Hotkey if you need to. So yeah, that's basic rotation right there. And priority, really. So those are the changes that I've seen with the Frost Mage when it comes to the pre-launch patch. And 50 some K is not bad. I was doing a raid earlier and it just wasn't that good for me. So we'll see how the other specs go. Thank you.